It's Wednesday afternoon, and you know what that means. Ringside Heat is on the air on News Talk Saga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher, as well as on Fridays on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lex Tan, your host and producer of this hour of Wrestling Talk Radio on AM 960. And as well, we are just happy that you are joining us here today to talk some wrestling on the way to the road to WrestleMania, which is, I don't know, less than 70 days away for those of you who are listening on the radio right now. And joining me today to talk wrestling are two of the ring crew that regularly have appeared on this show and on this station for the past few years that we've been on the air. Let's introduce them. First off, let's talk to our charity Twitch streamer and our brand new podcaster, Godzilla podcaster. You can follow him at Risen72, and you can follow his Godzilla podcast at KenjiraCast. Colin Dodge. Colin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Starting it all over again. 2025 campaign for Extra Life is going. Of course, benefiting Sick Kids Toronto. And then, I went ahead and just started a podcast. I watched Godzilla my entire life, and now I'm going to talk about it. And the last Sunday of every month, you'll be able to find the new episode. Sorry, the last Sunday of every month. I think I said Saturday because it's all the stuff happening this Saturday. So the last Sunday of every month, brand new episode. So episode 3 will be up at the end of this month. Yeah, I talk about pretty much anything as relates to Godzilla, as even things like how without Lucille Ball, we wouldn't have the Star Trek universe. So there's those interesting little Hollywood tidbits in there as well. Free advertising. And now I'm just rambling. So I think we should maybe talk to Chico now.
You just got introduced, Chico, at Coca Collects, wrestling memorabilia expert and collector. What up?
What up? Well, I don't know. The sky? No. I don't know. It's been an exciting time since the Royal Rumble, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited to see where everything's headed. But I'm also, top of mind is NXT and some stuff that happened last night at the NXT show.
And care to make that announcement, Chico?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess by the time this airs, everybody in the wrestling world likely will have known this, but after some promotion for NXT Vengeance Day, suddenly from the crowd emerged none other than absolute Ricky Starks.
Wow.
So I think I couldn't catch if he actually said his name or if anybody said his name. I'm guessing they probably said Ricky Starks on commentary, but I'd have to watch it back. So, I mean, it's exciting because Ricky Starks is among a couple of other people that their time in AEW is done and they had no non-compete clauses in their contracts. So that's some exciting stuff that happened last night on NXT. So Ricky Starks has come out. Who knows if we're going to see, I'm going to say Aleister Black at some point in WWE's main roster. And who's the other one? Rusev. So who knows?
Poor Miro.
Oh boy, Mans can't catch a break, can he? Anyway,
so much promise in both promotions.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Anyway.
However, you know what? Speaking of both promotions, we're gonna actually go and dedicate this first segment of the show to AEW because yes, we are.
Oh my god! I'm glad I showed up.
A is the first letter of the alphabet, so why not have that first, right?
That's true.
That's true. Yep, exactly. So AEW Grand Slam Australia or Grand Slam will be taking place this Saturday in Brisbane, and that's going to be airing 5:30 p.m. local time in Australia, but 2:30 a.m. for us here in the Eastern Time Zone. Is it 3:30 for you?
3:30 for me in the very Eastern Time Zone. Yeah. Or Atlantic Time Zone.
And so we're gonna and so right now the 5 matches that have been announced: Mariah May versus Timeless Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a tag team match: Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega versus the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher rather, and Konosuke Takeshita.
There you go.
Good
Nice.
job. Good job.
Yes.
Good save there. Yeah.
I was ready. I had your back.
The AEW Continental Championship: Kazuchika Okada and Buddy Matthews.
Oh, yeah.
Jay
What a
White.
mouthful these names are, huh? What a
Yep.
mouthful.
Oh,
Yeah.
try doing a Godzilla podcast. Oh, the training. I'm getting better. You'll see.
Yeah,
If you listen
yeah.
to the episodes as they progress, I'm doing my best.
Very
Be
nice.
respectful.
The Brisbane Brawl. It's going to be Jay White and Cope, aka Adam Copeland, aka Edge. It's so hard for me
He's
just to
Edge.
say
He's
Cope.
always Edge. He's
Yes,
always Edge.
exactly. There you go. Adam number 1. How about that?
Hey, there you go.
Versus the
Remember.
Death Riders, John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli, with Marina Shafir by their side.
Yes,
And-
Marina Shafir. Yep.
Yep. And then there's the singles match for the AEW TBS Championship
Mhm.
between Mercedes Moné and Harley Cameron. So,
She got her title shot.
So let's take it over to you, Colin. What are you looking forward to? What are you what's your take with these matches right now?
Well, the 2 matches I'm very excited for, and I hope Mariah May versus Timeless Toni Storm is the main event. I think it should be. I know a lot of people have said that this rematch has kind of gotten rushed, perhaps a little bit, or her reveal is back to Timeless got rushed a little bit, but I know it's a big deal for Australia, and I think it was better to have Timeless come back before, just to make sure, get those last bit of tickets sold or more eyes on it and that kind of thing. So I understand it was a bit rushed, but I think it's better if it's a bit rushed than maybe taking too long to let it go all the way to Revolution in March. So if you're going to do it, do it a bit sooner than later. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great match. I could see Toni Storm getting it back. I mean, why not? But I mean, I think these two could be like a Rock Austin rivalry for their entire careers or something. Like, they just work so well together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The other one I'm really looking forward to is, of course, Okada versus Buddy Matthews. They've had great little promos against each other, just silly little things. But, anybody with the Hounds of Hell, they bring the intensity, right? So, and you see that with Buddy Matthews all the time. Buddy Matthews is always great. So it'd be awesome if he picked up the AEW Continental Championship. I don't know. Unfortunately, the Hounds of Hell did just lose because, Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita had to have their win going into this. So it's kind of weird like that, but I think it's going to be a really good match. It'll be a great test for Buddy Matthews, and I think he'll do well. So those are the 2 I'm excited for. And the Women's World Championship match better be the main event.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually quite looking forward as well to watching what Mercedes and Harley Cameron can do for the TBS Championship. Because first of all, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever, say that name, and it's going to be a great match in the ring. And yes, I know what you're going to say, Chico.
I did already.
You already know that you're going to get a good you're going to get great in-ring work when you have Mercedes in a match. But I've also been thinking for years that Harley Cameron has been the best kept secret in AEW, because she is I would consider her a triple threat. She can act, she can sing, she can dance. She has that musical partnership with a couple of the ladies from the WWE roster as well. Man, this girl has pipes, and she displayed those. She displayed her singing abilities at the with the Jericho Cruise, the Rock and Rager as well, is what it's called. And she's got this amazing charisma as well too. Like, it's not just because she has it's not just because she has great looks or anything like that, but because she actually knows how to work a crowd and command a crowd and really get people interested in what she is doing in the ring. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what she can do against somebody at the caliber of Mercedes and see how her stock can be raised by one of the legends, one of the 4 horsewomen in the ring. So.
Yeah, this is her real big shot, and so I hope she absolutely nails it. I mean, she survived decades too late comedy segments of TMZ with QT Marshall of all people. So if she can survive that and get an AEW TBS championship title shot, I mean, more power to her. So yeah, this is the absolute big test for her. Yeah, I think she'll nail it, and I hope she does. So yeah, this is a nice big test for her. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Dang, absolute. You keep saying absolute, and every time I hear that word, I think of last night at NXT again. I mean, they did replay it after the break of him coming out. Anyway, enough NXT for now, or former AEW guys, I guess. Yeah, there's many things to look forward to. Now, admittedly, I haven't followed AEW regularly over the past few months, maybe a year. But yeah, plenty to get excited about when looking at that card, because all of those matches are going to be bangers.
Yeah.
Like, I have no doubt in my mind, at least the 5 that have been announced up to this point. Knowing it's Tony Khan, we expect about 10 more. So, you know, we'll get there.
Well, not technically a pay-per-view, so maybe only 7 more.
Yeah, right. It's apparently it's streaming on Max for those in North America, so that's easy for those of us who have access to Max.
There we go.
So yeah, like you said though, I mean, everything you guys said, I pretty much just agree. I really also think that Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May, both being Aussies, should definitely close the show, because you cannot you cannot dismiss that. They're both hometown gals. I'm sure they love them both, but at the same time, Timeless Tony Storm is just on another level. For those that you were referring to, Colin, that say the return to Timeless Tony Storm was rushed. Again, this is from someone who doesn't tune in regularly. I believe that it was timed fairly well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're getting towards the Australia event, so they gotta sort of wind it back together. And Tony Storm, to that point, had been, or Timeless Tony Storm had been playing the role of young Tony Storm for many weeks leading up to that pivot. So I don't think it was a rush necessarily. I think it was done brilliantly. I mean, I would have changed maybe 1 or 2 things. Like I wouldn't have had Tony Storm sort of be the one left laying in the ring and then she reveals it. I would have had it the other way, where Mariah would have been the one, and then Tony Storm could have rubbed it in further and saying, "Oh, it was me all along. It was me, Austin." No. So,
wait, that's something else. Never mind.
No. I happen to think it was well done.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to watching that at some point. Yeah, I mean, everything you guys said too about Mercedes Moné and Harley Cameron, that's a great opportunity. I know that Bully Ray / Bubba Ray Dudley in WWE's LFG coaches crew, he's been completely endorsing Harley Cameron. I think she's probably his favorite entertaining part of AEW these days. I feel like that. I don't think that's outlandish to say. So
she's in the top.
Yeah, I'm glad she's getting an opportunity. Now, she still makes me cringe a little bit. I still have to find that point where I get it for Harley Cameron. Like, I'm still like, I'm a little, my stomach turns when she does her voices and the kind of comedy she does. I think it's funny. I just think it just gets a little past cringy for me.
Yeah.
So, but good for her, because she has been working on her in-ring stuff too. And like Lex said, man, Mercedes Moné, that is a guaranteed good match. Well, not a guaranteed good match if you're talking to Britt Baker, but apparently. But I mean, I think this should be a good one, a good TBS championship match, probably somewhere in the middle of the card or starting the whole card off. That's definitely not going to close the show, but I think it's going to be a pretty good contest.
Just
However,
just a real quick recommendation for you two and everybody listening. If you haven't seen Collision, Tony Storm versus Queen Aminata, Tony Storm portrayed Mariah May.
that's
during
right.
the
Yes,
whole
yes,
thing.
yes. I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that, Chico, if you haven't, anybody else, go watch that. It's absolutely amazing. Like down to mannerisms.
I
Mhm.
haven't seen it in full. I just
yeah.
saw clips, and
Like
already
Damien
I was
Sandow
impressed.
would be proud. Okay.
Yeah.
This is high level stuff. All right. If you know, you know. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, but that's great though. I mean, that I think that's out of the characters that I've seen in both the WWE and in AEW, the timeless Tony Storm character is probably the most creative, well thought character and most unique character out there, because I think I may have said this the first time she debuted that character. It reminds me of Norma Desmond from Sunset Boulevard, and
Yeah.
which is and the only reason why I know that is because of a cartoon back in the 90s called Tiny Toon Adventures, where they spoofed it with
Yes.
Elmira Desmond was the way they parodied that, and Sepulveda Boulevard. So it's and so making that connection there, how insanely creative that is, and that's I don't think WWE creative could have even come up with that one. That was just, good job on Tony Storm for really putting that together.
Building a character on super old Hollywood that nobody is old enough to remember and making it work. And
Except me!
And being the top story, and one of the top stories in AEW right now. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah, Death Riders are cool, but its time was Tony Storm,
Yeah, I'd even add Mariah May herself in having the credit for that, because it takes two to tango, right?
Yeah.
And they really both put a lot of work into that feud. And I remember listening to a recent interview with Mariah May where she acknowledges too, it's not about the moves, right? It's about the entertainment and captivating the audience that way. The moves just happen to be there. Right. Which is the right focus for a better long-term money-making, pro wrestling storyline or whatever it is. So Mariah May and Tony Storm have the right idea. Now, if they could just spread that like a virus through the rest of the roster, that would be fantastic, or at least to the guy that owns the place. But anyways,
people got to pay attention. It's all right there.
Yeah.
The resources are there. You just got to execute.
Yep.
Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher, and on YouTube. We're going to go into our first break here, but when we come back, we'll talk about another primarily dominant women's match that is going to be airing this coming Saturday, and that is going to be the for the NXT Women's Championship between Julia, Bayley, Sasha Banks. What am I talking about?
Goodness.
What happened?
He's
Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez.
There we go.
Why did I say Sasha?
You're reverting back to other NXT times.
He needs a break, Colin. Let's take a break.
Yeah,
you know what? I'll say it, Colin. We'll be back after these promotional considerations.
Under all the lights, with only everyone, he's looking for one single face.
And welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM. Lex Tan alongside Colin Dodge, and sometimes every now and then Chico Nougat, thanks to his internet connection at the moment. But he's on now, so let's get into the next discussion. We were talking about how great the matches for AEW's women's division are going to be for this coming Saturday's AEW Grand Slam in Australia.
Yep.
But I also want to talk about how great the WWE women are doing right now, especially in NXT, where they have the WWE Vengeance Day NXT Premium Live event coming up and in the evening on Saturday, and along with the women, Julia putting up her championship against Bayley, Roxanne Perez, and Cora Jade in a fatal 4-way match. There's also Fallon Henley versus Stephanie Vaquer, going up for the North American title. We've also got the men's division, Javon Evans versus Ethan Page, Nathan Fraser and Axiom versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura for the tag team titles, and then the NXT championship match, Oba Femi versus A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, a triple threat match for the championship. And first of all, kudos to these 4 women who started off NXT last night. A great match between Cora Jade and Bayley to tease what they can actually do in the ring, which is actually really amazing because it's another one of those stories where AJ Lee meeting Lita and then becoming a WWE star and considered one of the greatest alongside Lita. And now we've got Cora Jade going into a match with the woman who inspired her to become a wrestler herself, Bayley, and having that match together. And of course, and so congratulations to Cora Jade and achieving that dream. And now, but we also have Julia and Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez actually tried interrupting the match by coming out to Bayley's music, which we can get into a little bit later on in the show, and dressing up in her Bayley hugger tribute outfit as well. So it's another great, good stories that are being told here by the WWE NXT women. But my question I want to pose to you guys over here is, what is it about this is NXT, yes, a legitimate third brand, but it is still kind of like, not the main roster. It's the third brand. It's the feeder. It's the feeder promotion to, or a section of the WWE to Raw and SmackDown. And what do you think about having, a legend like Bayley, a graduate of NXT, obviously, but a legend in the ring like Bayley, being in this match between with these 3 other current NXT roster women, and then you have Oba Femi, who is putting up the championship against 2 gentlemen who are actually this generation, the younger generation of the main roster in A-Town Down Under. I feel a little bit conflicted about it in a way, because it's like, I know that they can make it on their own, and they're great to make it on their own. All of these wrestlers to be, to not have the main roster interfere, or not interfere per se, but to be part of it. But at the same time, I on one end, it's like, I know that it helps them raise the brand of NXT and these wrestlers that are that are just on the cusp of making the roster, especially like someone like Roxanne Perez.
Tell you what, do you regularly tune in when it's just the regular crew, or are you more likely to tune in if like a Bayley stops by, or a CM Punk stops by, or a Cody Rhodes stops by? Are you more likely to make time to watch it as soon as that happens?
Well, I would say, personally speaking, that now that it's on Netflix, I'm a little bit more inclined to tune into the shows a little bit more. But yes, when before the Netflix deal, when John Cena would show up, when CM Punk would show up, when Charlotte Flair would show up, that would perk my interest in seeing what's going on in the shows. But at the same time, I also am interested in watching the show, especially if someone like an Ethan Page or Sean Spears or maybe or a Roxanne Perez or a Cora Jade is going to be gracing my screen, and Julia herself as well, because she's amazing. She's amazing as well.
Oh yeah, hottest women's division right now, I think, in the whole company. Yeah, no, I mean, I share a little bit of that conflicted feeling, but at the same time, I think it's just the ebbs and flows of NXT, as it always has been. There will always be seasons where they have more appearances from main roster people. There will be spots where legends and even former wrestlers just drop in for a short stint. And then now there's even more of a TNA partnership with the company. So even people who are not even in the same umbrella of a company are showing up to to give the NXT talent more opportunities to to hone their craft.
Yep.
So I think all of it is Shawn Michaels has been making a lot of good decisions on behalf of the brand. I think it's fantastic that Bayley is there because it's not like she's doing anything pertinent on the main roster right now. Like, she's not in any title picture up there. So what's a great use of her? Let's pull somebody up. And in the situation of the weeks, it's more and more clear that Bayley's being used to prop up Roxanne Perez, so that she can be a regular fixture on the main roster and soon. So I think all of it's been pretty good. I think in the case of Obafemi, just quickly, I think that he needs somebody to work up to, and he's pretty much the biggest thing in the men's division of NXT. So bring in a couple of dudes from the main roster like Grayson and Austin Theory, feed them to Obafemi to further his legacy, and the train rolls on. So, but I think it's not a bad thing to have a departure from that once in a while and bring in some main roster clout to add to the buildup of somebody like an Obafemi. Obafemi is just about there. I think he's almost ready to be on the main roster, but it's also, there's so many names up on the main roster too. So give him some stuff to do as champion in NXT for a while. So yeah, I think all of it's fine. I'm not feeling disturbed by any of it. Sure, I'll question the need for some of it, but I think that it's going just fine. I think, plus, like I said, you get more eyes on the product when it's somebody you actually know, and that builds the profile of the current roster, and then you can have them cruise for a while as just the NXT people. It ebbs and flows. I see it every year.
Yeah, my response will be a bit more generalized. I've always had trouble keeping up with NXT, like always from when it began. So, so that's kind of thing. Now, yeah, to the point earlier, Punk is showing up on there, Drew McIntyre is showing up on there, just knocking heads and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'll very easily, and also thanks to Netflix, go back and look at that episode and go, okay, yeah, that was cool, that kind of thing. I think when executed well, if the story is done correctly, like everything with Bayley, if it's done correctly, then everybody involved wins. So you have an interesting storyline for everybody to watch. You have a storyline that makes sense for Bayley to go to the Bush Leagues, if you want to call it that. But I mean, I think that line of the third show, I think that stigma is probably gone by now, because for a long time it's been producing good content, regardless of me being interested to go follow it religiously, regularly. And it's better than the OVW days and that kind of thing. It's just always steadily gotten better, especially under Shawn Michaels and that kind of thing. So if you do it right, then you've got veterans, you've got experienced people in the locker room for a week or two or a month. You've got a storyline that's very interesting for everybody to watch. And then you learn more about the NXT star, because you're being drawn there by Bayley or Charlotte or whoever, and going, oh, okay, Bayley's paying attention to this person, I should pay attention to this person. So like I say, execute it well, everybody involved wins. So yeah, I don't see it as a problem. It's not a stigma, it's like Hollywood actors doing TV shows. That's not a thing anymore. So I think main roster, hanging out in NXT for a storyline or two, I think it's fun. If executed well, obviously, I think the ways to do it wrong, or ways that fall flat. Chris Jericho's Ring of Honor champion for a while. It was so transparent as to why that was happening. Of course, that's why it was happening, is to help bring eyes to Ring of Honor, but there was no stories that kind of made sense. There wasn't that back end of it. It was just, oh, Jericho's here now, which is great. I had fun watching those Ring of Honor episodes with Jericho there, because I'm a big Jericho fan, but it was just, oh, I'm here now. And then that's kind of it. Where I think if you have a better link that Bailey had and all that kind of stuff, again, execute it well, then it's not so transparent or it's forgivable that clearly this is just to get more eyes on the product. And I mean, there's so many Netflix users watching it now. So of course, let's get everybody watching NXT too, not just Raw and SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. And one thing as well, I mean, like, okay, so I don't know, I appreciate I appreciate the perspectives on that and everything, and and honestly, like when I think about when I think about the kind of match, this fatal four ways that's going to happen between Julia, Roxanne, Cora, and Bailey. I mean, they've done a great job of them, the four of them, building up their feuds, like within even amongst not just the four of them, but amongst each other individually. Because I mean, we saw that yesterday on NXT where there is that tension now between Bailey and Roxanne personally because of different shenanigans that have happened, including showing up in Bailey's gear. Cora Jade as well too. Like she's taking no prisoners, and she's been Roxanne's friend over the past few months. And one of my favorite moments between Roxy and Cora Jade was Roxanne kicking quote unquote Stone in the face in the same way that Shawn Michaels kicked Stan, which is a great callback because I mean. Again, put a Canadian in there, Sean Spears, and boom, there it is, right? You make it better. So I'm personally I'm personally invested in seeing how that match works, and if this is going to be the vaulting point for Roxanne to have maybe one last feud with Cora on the way out, on the way out, so that she can actually finally make it up to the main roster, either at WrestleMania or Raw after Mania.
Yeah, and this is where it works both ways. If the interest is there, why not Roxanne show up to interfere in a Bailey match on the main roster? You know what I mean? If the interest is there, then Roxy can show up and bother Bailey in her house, right? So
right,
it works. It can work both ways too.
Mm-hmm. That story just will just keep on giving as Roxy does eventually make her way onto the main roster, which I'm expecting, which I am just stoked to be able to see, especially what the Prodigy can do. With the eyes of the world on her, more so than NXT. But something that actually kind of really interested me over these past couple of weeks since the Royal Rumble is something I'd like to talk about, because I mentioned again, it's you heard Bailey's old theme song this week on NXT. The previous week we had JDC, Johnny Dongo Curtis, aka Fandango, just surprise the entire NXT the NXT audience with the Fandango theme song. And then you've got AJ Styles coming back to the main roster after injury with Phenomenal, and going into Raw as well too with that theme. There seems to be this nostalgia with CFOS music now that's starting to come up, and of course that could be that could be further exacerbated by people's nonchalance about Def Rebel, if for lack of a better word at the moment. But that's something that I'd like to talk about with you guys, and also talk about with you listening here on the air. Just make sure that you are following us at Ringside_Heat on all of our social media, and follow us on YouTube. Leave a comment. What do you think about what we're saying right now? And let's continue discussion online as we go along on this road to WrestleMania, this road to AEW Grand Slam in Australia, and more. That's just great wrestling. But we will come back after these promotional considerations as we take this break. This is Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM.
Under all the lights, with only everyone, he's looking for one single face.
Welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM. Lextan at Lextan Media, Ringside Heat at Ringside_Heat, alongside Colin Dodge at Risen72. Follow his podcast at KenjiraCast, and as well our wrestling memorabilia expert Chico Nugid. Follow his collection at Coco Collects on his social media, and hopefully his internet will be stable enough for the rest of this show right now.
Chico
But
talks first. Go.
Oh, I don't have the questions. Ask the questions.
I know.
Well, remember when you have the questions, I change the answers. But anyway,
No, that was not well done. Anyway, go ahead.
No. But here we go with the third discussion about, again, we talk about wrestling music every now and then here on the show. We talked about Jim Johnston. We've talked about Cephos, and we've also been talking about Def Rebel. And we've also heard about the reviews of Def Rebel's music. We have people who absolutely love Def Rebel's music, and they think it's all amazing. But then there's a lot of people out there who say that Def Rebel's music is kind of generic and mediocre, and there are rumors that there's people in WWE who are trying to get their music changed from Def Rebel to something else. Maybe they could license something. Maybe they could go back to their old theme songs. And that's something that, we've been actually seeing and hearing over the past, I don't know how long now. Well, at least noticeably over the past couple of weeks since the Royal Rumble. Yeah. But like, who do we have here that we have Fandango's music. We have Bailey's music come back. We had Phenomenal by AJ Styles. They don't want none. And on the Jericho cruise, guess what they used over there? They used a Soft as a Sin, which is when Enzo Amore, quote unquote Enzo Amore made an entrance into the ring alongside Big Bill and
formerly known as Cass.
Yes, exactly.
Mini reunion. Yep.
Exactly. And people loved it, and people connected with it, and people still remember fondly those things. And even before the show, Colin, we were talking about how Shinsuke Nakamura's theme could have been Bobby Roode's, but Bobby Roode ended up choosing Glorious Domination, and we're all better for it. And so like you get those tunes there, and you get people nostalgic for those tunes now, because in the same way that we have been nostalgic for Jim Johnston tunes. Yes. I guess I'd like to start the discussion from there. It's like, what's going? What is it? Is this just a nostalgic generational shift? Is the Cephas's music better than we took it for back in the day because we were still comparing it to Jim Johnston? And is Def Rebel's music being a little bit harshly criticized or fairly criticized? Because like, the Rhea Ripley's theme song's awesome. Roman Reigns, my God, holy gee. Solo Sikoa, that actually is very distinct and actually very him. And Jacob Fatu's theme as well. And there's a lot, and there's a lot of other themes that as well are doing well. But so there's where I want to start off this discussion. What do you guys say? What say you guys?
Well, as the person between me and Colin that's been watching WWE more, say that the Def Rebel criticisms have been fair. And yes, I will also acknowledge that, like any theme composers before them, there are the highlights. There are the really, really successful ones. I mean, at one moment, like a whole bunch of repetitive Def Rebel composed theme songs for the Royal Rumble, where you don't even know that it's Finn Balor coming out until they actually show his face on the screen, where the music means nothing. And then that which was the case for many superstars during the Royal Rumble PLE. But then you could go back on that and say just two words: Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. They must feel really vindicated because WWE's been really drilled hard on everybody eating on every WWE show over the past 2 weeks, with encores too. So like that music's been really drilled into everybody's minds now. Mm-hmm. So it's like the new Yes movement. It's so viral right now in terms of within pro wrestling circles at least. So there's that. That's a Def Rebel theme song, Jey Uso's main event ish.
But but at the same time, remember that's also him doing the vocals on his own tune, and actually like and actually him leading the crowd. So
This is true.
There is that
Hold on. Let me interrupt you
personality.
there for a second. So theme that of course came from the previous Usos theme song. Was that originally from like a CFOS base? I don't remember like the little history of it. Like I feel like the Uso Penitentiary days that they had a theme song that was pretty much that, but it was kind of just like carved up a little more into, or just refreshed as we got closer to today with Jey Uso. I feel like it came from the Usos theme, but I don't know if that was a CFOS thing or if it was a Def Rebel thing. Welcome to the Uso Penitentiary. I feel like it's somewhere in that mix.
I'm looking that up right now. A lot of that stuff
anyway.
A lot of that stuff that you just said what got garbled by your internet connection again. But
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I mean, what can you do at this point? I mean, let's see. Day one ish. Uso done with.
So yeah, I mean,
done with that is actually so the original one, which is the original one is done with that. It's that down. So it's down since day one ish, basically. Usos down since day one ish, whatever, basically. And that was a CFOS theme that was written in 2016. So this is Def Rebel,
updating it,
putting their own arrangement to it.
Their take, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So not
but it's essentially still, it's essentially a CFOS idea, I guess, with Jey. Or with the Usos, rather.
With the Usos as the actual heritage Samoans. So
okay, I guess that's another one that's not in favor of Def Rebel then, because it didn't really originate with them. So maybe that doesn't quite count all the way to Def Rebel's favor. Anyway, there's just a lot of bland Def Rebel theme songs. I would have said the same thing about CFOS before, actually, but I think now I'd rather have CFOS than Def Rebel. So, but then, like Colin was alluding to earlier, none of those guys can hold a candle to Jim Johnston. Jim Johnston, not 100% free from generic themes, obviously, but I feel like even some of those generic themes had more personality than what's going on these days with live.
You've done it now. Anyway, sorry.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, and never forget that Jim Johnston bona fide hit "Real Man's Man."
Yeah, but that's a classic, and that can be used in many situations.
See, and it's still entertaining.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's okay.
Entertaining. Yeah.
You could actually also argue that the William Regal's Blackpool theme, the one he's currently using right now, sounds pretty generic, but because it is William Regal, he's the one that made it. He's the one that makes that theme.
Yeah, like we hear that and we know that's Regal. Like and that face, that ticked off face, he's ready to just smack whoever's interrupting him or whoever's ruining his tea at the moment. He's gonna come and you're gonna get smacked if you hear that music. So,
my gosh! Speaking of ruining his tea, you just brought me back to when Chris Jericho.
That's exactly it. That was exactly the
took
moment.
a washroom break in William Regal's tea, and at that time he was using that trumpety fanfare theme,
which is not even a Jim. That's not even a Jim Johnston theme. That's actually licensed from like Universal or something like that.
Yeah. That's some kind of I mean, honestly, it's just I remember Jim Johnston stuff, and I think the main thing is where with Jim Johnston and any kind of rare interview you saw with him, he talked about how he prepares these themes, how he tries to figure something out, and I think what's being lost now is the individuality of these themes. Mm-hmm. Because now I know I was in a deficit watching the Rumble because there was a ton of people that I didn't know, so I'm not going to know who's coming out by theme song anyway. But they all did sound the same. And I know Finn Balor. I'm a big Finn Balor fan. I didn't know that was Finn Balor. So that's not good. So,
and the Finn Balor theme, the CFOS Finn Balor theme is amazing.
Yeah, but it's just like, where did that even come from? So I mean,
They didn't
is
even
it
use it.
harsh to say with no individuality in the blandness that they're the Nickelback of, theme song writing for WWE? I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to say that or not. Maybe that's harsh.
I think it's a bit harsh. Nickelback has some bangers.
I nothing against Nickelback. It just sounds the same. Anyway,
oh boy.
So it's
loaded.
But again, it's all subjective as well, right? So of course,
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with people say that they're absolutely loving everything Def Rebel's putting out. That's great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's just, I think the individuality is gone. And so the ones they've done, I think we proved with the Usos and stuff like that, they didn't do the original part. They're putting a new spin on it. Like, the new spin sounds great for what they're doing, but it wasn't their original kind of thing. So maybe there's a pattern there. I definitely don't know enough, but just from what I've heard and all that kind of thing, what you guys are saying too, I think it could be that. But yeah, just Jim Johnston, man. I just miss Jim Johnston.
Yeah, I guess it's just in the end, Def Rebel is just less hits, more misses by comparison to their predecessors, and it's unfortunate. I think at some point though, WWE is going to have to pivot, because if the rumors are true, superstars are gathering in larger numbers to ask for changes, that doesn't speak well for Def Rebel.
Yeah. Well, it didn't even Punk just make a crack. Was it SmackDown? Didn't even know it was his music.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, like if that's seeping into the banter of promos and stuff, I don't think that's a good sign. No, even if it is Punk.
I think it's actually, it's telling that it's actually Punk that's actually the one that's calling this out, because he's not the one that's being subject to Def Rebel's music. They
tried though. They tried. I don't know if you know this.
No, I don't know. No, tell us about it.
So when Punk was scheduled to come back, right?
Yeah.
In last minute, like, when they brought him back.
Let's hope the story actually works out. Actually, you know what? Maybe we can actually get Chico to tell the story next time, because his internet connection is starting to fuzz out a little bit right now.
Hold on, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. So do it. So tell it quickly before we get off the air.
Quickly, they tried to have a Def Rebel theme for CM Punk upon comeback, but it just didn't work out, and they just went right back to Living Color.
Yep.
That and you know what? That's the thing for somebody like CM Punk. He's forever going to be associated with that piece of music. It would not be the same if he were to come up to something else, Def Rebel or CFOS or whatever. It's the same. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's still jarring for me following with TNA and the Motor City Machine Guns not to hear Motor City.
Yeah, good point.
And and that's something that should be. I personally believe that WWE, if Tony Khan can spend $20,000 each time Final Countdown plays, I'm sure TKO can dish out some money to pay for Motor City Machine Guns' good theme song.
Oh, I don't know. TK is more of the one that would spend on that kind of stuff.
It's true, yes, but don't get me wrong. I actually
TKO is a little better at handling the money, I think.
Yeah. But at the same time, I will say this. I admittedly will say this. I listened to. I actually did get a chance to listen to the actual track that Def Rebel wrote for Motor City Machine Guns, and it's actually a pretty damn good track.
Okay.
But Motor City, the original Motor City Machine Guns theme from TNA Wrestling, top notch. That's so them. It is perfect for them.
Yeah.
And they should, and I still think they should have kept it.
But the music they had when they made it big, so that's what everybody remembers. It's, yeah.
Yep. That's the piece of music that played when Alex Shelley won the title. And hell, Joe Hendry. No one's gonna change his theme song except him. Like Def Rebel, if you try to, I will say this right now, Def Rebel, if you try to touch anything about Joe Hendry's theme music, I hope Triple H fires you, or sorry, The Rock fires you.
That's how Joe Hendry goes heel. He changes his theme music.
Oh, that's a good.
Yeah.
I brought
He
in
gets a
these
nice
guys
generic
Def
theme. He
Rebel
borrows
to
it
do
from
my
Finn
theme
Balor.
song.
Oh
Eesh,
man,
that would be terrible.
but it would garner so much heat. Like good heat for Hendry, but that X-Pac heat for for Def Rebel.
Yeah. Just generic guitar riffs. That's it.
Which
And
I
he
guess
just-
is wave
he
your
runs to the
hands.
ring.
His wave your hands part is technically just like your typical like electric song.
Yeah.
Interesting how specifically formulated.
But the way here's the thing, while the internet's on the fritz over here, but the way that it's
so
paired
sorry.
up with the way that that the second movement of Joe Hendry's theme pairs up with the first movement, it's like it's
Perfect.
it's this jarring perfection. It's this jarring perfection that works so well somehow, but it's Joe
Perfect.
Hendry. So you know what? It's hard to question at this point. It's hard to question anything that Joe Hendry does right now. So,
He just goes generic and then just walks to the ring like this. No arm movements of any kind, and that's how Joe Hendry goes heel.
Straight face, no smile.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
turning. No turning.
No turning, no nothing. Yeah, none of that. No, it's gone. Yeah.
Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga 960 AM. We've run out of time here on the radio, but I want to thank Chico and Colin. You can follow Chico at Coco Collects and Colin at Risen72, as well as at Ken Jiracast. Thank you for listening. My name is Lex Tan at Lex Tan Media. Follow the show at Ringside_Heat, and we will be talking more wrestling next week on this station and online. So tune in again and again and again. Ringside Heat. We remember the things you probably forgot.